All right, take it away, Kelly.
All right, so welcome everyone to the noon Zoom Fortuna Chamber of Commerce meeting. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Bob Judavine, who has graciously agreed to lead us in today's pledge.
So I'm just going to stand up.
Oh.
It'd be a little awkward. All right, here we go. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. So at this time, I'd like to do an introduction of any new members or guests. And would you like to go ahead and lead the way, Luce?
Sure. I own Permanent Beauty by Luce. My name's Lucette Wallach, and I opened the business in September. I started out in Simply Gorgeous Salon. I'm a permanent cosmetic artist. So what I do is I do the brows, the lips, eyeliner. I do also scar repair. I also do repigmentation of the scalp, where some women and men lose their hair or it starts to become thinning out. So we make that look new. In January, we'll be launching in this county for the women that are here, and even men, it can happen, but it happens more often in women. 1 in 8 women in America will always be diagnosed right now with the statistics with breast cancer. So I'll be bringing to Humboldt County services for women called Paramedical Tattooing, which is the 3D areola replacement reconstruction on the breast. So that is something where our ladies are having to drive into UCSF. I have clients currently that tell me that they have to drive down to San Francisco or other areas out of Humboldt County. And so I'm going to bring that to Humboldt County and our wonderful city of Fortuna, where I live. And also I hold my business.
Awesome. Thank you, Luce. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the chamber.
Yeah. Do we have any other members, new members or guests today joining us? I'm not looking at the list, Renee, but
Nope.
Then I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for announcements.
Great. Okay, so we had a little scare with our billboard over the weekend. So apparently our middle piece swings. Well, it's not completely attached, and that's how the original sign was. And so the Humboldt Connection had made a temporary holder so that it wouldn't blow in the wind. Well, it dislodged, and so then the middle piece apparently was twisting in the wind, and a very concerned board member by the name of Fred Robinson texted me, and so I immediately called Jessica at the Humboldt Connection, and her husband ran out there and he's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I mean, it's not fine, but it's okay. So there was no damage. So they have now reinforced, and they're actually, I think, going to stake it into the ground so that it, can survive these winds that we tend to have here in Humboldt. But all's well on South 101. Let's see. Next week, we are going to welcome the new CEO for the Humboldt Senior Resource Center, Melissa Hovind, and she is going to talk about the Fortuna PACE program that recently launched, which is great news. So she'll be our speaker next week at noon. Just a reminder, this Wednesday is Veterans Day, so the chamber office will be closed. Next Wednesday, the 18th, is our November mixer featuring the Depot Museum. Dr. Alex Service from the museum will be our host, and we're going to have some really fun Fortuna trivia. There's a really great video going around on YouTube from 1937, so we're going to show a little bit of that, and Alex will talk about some of those buildings and where they are now. We'll have our 50-50 raffle, door prizes, and a shelter-in-place scavenger hunt. So you can register early to get some tips or some information on the scavenger hunt early. And also the first 20 people that join us for the mixer on the 18th will get a $5 gift card for a local business. So another incentive to join us and have some fun. That is, again, the 18th at 5:30 on Zoom. You can go to fortunachamber.com/depot mixer. That's DEPOT mixer for the registration links and buy some raffle tickets. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, also this coming Thursday, the 12th at 6 p.m., the Roner Rec Community Park District or something, something along those lines. They are having a community input meeting for the pool. It's part of the requirements for applying for a Prop 68 grant. That's the Parks grant through the state of California. There's about $393 million to give away. The grant period closes on March 12th, so they're looking for community input. So you can see that in our email today. There's a link for the Zoom. You can also look at Facebook, our Facebook page, and also the City of Fortuna just posted a link for the Zoom meeting too. So join if you can and have your input be heard. And then let's see, what else did I have? Oh, I got a press release from the City of Fortuna this morning. They have some city commission vacancies, which we'll have in our email next week. But if you're interested, there is one seat available for a 3-year term on the Historical Commission. There's one seat also for a 3-year term on the Park Commission, and then one seat for a 4-year term on the Measure E Oversight Committee, which I'm guessing they will now call the Measure G Oversight Committee because the E became G with this last election. So you can contact the deputy clerk. Her name is Buffy Gray at City Hall for more information, or go to friendlyfortuna.com and you can see the different commissions and get an application online. And I think that's all I've got. That's it for me.
Thank you, Renee. Do we have any members with announcements today? No announcements?
Kelly, I do.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Kelly?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to reiterate what Renee talked about with the Park and Rec District Commission. We really need some input for the pool. We have not given up our dream of having a community pool. And so if you can check in on that Zoom, that'd be great. We're soon going to have a sign in front of the proposed site, which is on the McLean campus. So that will be going up pretty soon, but we're just really starting to ramp things up. And with this grant project, or the Prop 68, we're hoping to get some grant funds for the pool. So we're starting to get going again. We haven't given up. So just kind of want to get on the bandwagon and tell people to give us your thoughts. And we all know we want a pool. It's just the cost and the maintenance. So anyway, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Becky. Do we have anybody else with any other announcements? All right, so I will go. Oh, go.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to because we went ahead and I came in as a new member. You guys have me and at 737 Main, and we're going to do that ribbon cutting. More than likely, I'm going to schedule that with you guys on the first week of December. So we move over there and everything will be done and finished, and we'll be operational on the 1st with no interruption of business.
Perfect. Thank you.
Kelly, I had a quick comment.
Bob?
I was just waiting for permission. Two, actually. So when Renee said that, Renee was talking about the sign. She's like, well, it's not fine, but it's okay. I thought that could kind of be the 2020 theme, right? That's fine, but it's okay. We're going to get through it. And in that sort of vein, I definitely was like holding out, really, really, really wanting to do our open house annual Christmas party here at Strong's Creek Plaza. And so we have sort of painfully decided it just isn't going to work. It's less than a month away. There's no real indication that any kind of gatherings are going to be okay. And it takes some work to get ready for it. So we're gonna call it early and promise you just the best party in the world, December 2021. Yay!
Thanks, Bob. And for the record, you never need my permission to speak.
Well, I tend to be the interrupter in Zoom, right? There's always that guy that's kind of half talking over everybody else because I've got some stupid joke to pitch in. So I'm trying to be very careful these days.
Hey, how's your flocking going? Are you still flocking?
we're not flocking anymore. It was phenomenally successful. So I didn't, I'm like, birds stuffing people's yards. It was so good. People really dug it. It was very fun. For the rest of you that didn't hear, the Fortuna Sunrise Rotary did a fundraiser that annually we do something to raise money to battle polio in the world, right? There's just a few cases left. We're just determined to eradicate polio. So my club did a fundraiser where you could either pay to inflict a flock or you could pay to get a flock removed from your yard, right? So, and people just had a ball with it. There wasn't a price tag attached, so it could be whatever you wanted. I inflicted one on my very good friend, Seth McGrath, the owner of Grocery Outlet. And so it was a great fundraiser. It was also very fun in the spirit of fun that Rotary is sort of fond of, and that sometimes has been a little hard for us all to figure out these days. So yay for that. And we raised more money than we ever did before for this particular fundraiser for polio. So we're delighted. And the Bill Gates Foundation matches that 2 for 1. So for every $1 we raise, they're going to pitch in $2. So we in the town of Fortuna, in the way that the town of Fortuna always does, kick some serious polio booty, and yay for that.
So was your unofficial designation flocker in chief?
So I immediately volunteered for like an administrative position so that I wouldn't have to go out and tromp through people's lawns, right? So I didn't really have a title. I'm the treasurer in my club. So, but it's as you get older, you get craftier about the kind of stuff you want to do and the ways you want to help. So yes, I didn't have to like sneak through someone's yard at 6:30 in the morning, risking life and limb.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our featured speakers today, Assistant Professor, Director of Nursing, Dr. Kimberly Perris, and Associate Director, Dr. Eden Donahue from the Humboldt State University. The floor is all yours.
Hello, thank you so much for having us. I've been excited to come for about a year now. Are you looking at a PowerPoint now?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, thank you for having us. I have a special connection to the chambers because my mom works for the Chamber of Commerce down up in Springfield, Oregon. She's also worked at the Chamber of Commerce in Lakeport. So I'm very familiar with the work that Chamber of Commerce does to support the local businesses. I got to spend some time this summer with her, just sitting alongside of her, spent a month with my parents. And so we got to Zoom side by side working from home, and I could hear all the work that they were doing to help the businesses through the current pandemic and support them through that. So I definitely have a strong appreciation for that. My uncle also owned a business here for I think about 40 years. He owned Bay West Supply. So very strong appreciation for the work that you are all doing. And Luz, congratulations on your business.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate your having us and your interest in our program. It is currently the Year of the Nurse. If you haven't heard of that before, that is, it's Florence Nightingale's 200th birthday. She's the mother of nursing, the founder of professional nursing. And she said in the 1880s that it would take 100 to 150 years before educated and experienced nurses would arrive to change the healthcare system. And so that's what we are hoping to do. But we're in the year of celebration, but nurses have actually been hard at work on the front lines, taking care of patients. And so the celebration part is been overshadowed, I would say, but not the recognition. So I just thought I would bring that up. And so today we're going to share with you a little bit about our program. Dr. Donahue, Eden, and I are going to share a bit about ourselves and kind of our background and what brought us to this program, because it's very exciting and an honor to be able to lead this program. You know, it's a huge, it's a great service for our community. And so that's the way that we are looking at this as well. And the community's been so much behind the program. So that's what we're here to do, is serve the community. There you go. Thank you, Renee. So as you know, I'm Kim Perris, and I have a long history in Humboldt County. When I'm married, I live in Eureka. My husband's a general contractor. When I first met him, the first conversation we had was I was born breech, and what else do you want to know from there? So I won't go all the way back to birth, but just a little bit of history. We came to Humboldt County in 1982. My dad moved up here with our family. I was a sophomore in high school, so not very enthusiastically from Los Angeles, moved to Eureka, California, so that my dad could work for his brother at the O'Neill Supply, then O'Neill Supply, now Bay West Supply. And they've since retired from that business. But so I thought that was my first job here, was a file clerk back when they had invoices. And so that was kind of the beginning of my working career at O'Neill Supply. I went on the day after high school, left Humboldt County and moved back to Southern California, went to nursing school, and I graduated in 1991 with my associate degree, and so missed the beauty of Humboldt County. And so eventually moved back in 1993. So I've been back in Humboldt since 1993, working as a registered nurse. I've worked in OB at General Hospital. I've worked for Children, Youth, and Family Services. I have worked for a variety of settings, took a little time off to raise kids. And then most of my career I spent working at Humboldt State University in their Student Health Center, which it was a position that I loved. But after 12 years, I started feeling like I was kind of stuck and had all these great ideas that I couldn't move forward. So I ended up going back to school. While working there, I went back to school and got my master's and eventually a doctorate. But what that did for me, that experience just totally reinvigorated my outlook on nursing, opened my eyes to the needs that are in healthcare, the innovation that's happening beyond our little bubble of where we're working. So that kind of just began the journey towards here, being in your Zoom room today. After I went to work at Humboldt Independent Practice Association for a few years, 3 years, and that is an integrated care model, which I feel very passionate about, team-based care and having positions where all staff, especially registered nurses, can work to the top of their license so that we can improve access to care. And got to, do my doctoral project there, where we helped integrate their that primary care practice. And so fast forward, I was curious about HSU's program and concerned, wanted to make sure that they were going to be doing the right thing by our nurses and thinking about the future of nursing. And so here I am. And so here we are. I'm so grateful to be here with Eden. She's my partner, and we are having so much fun collaborating with the development of this new program. We're in our 12th week of our first cohort. So with that, I will let you take it away, Eden.
Well, I just want to echo Kim's sentiment. We are really thankful to be here today. Humboldt is something that's very near and dear to my heart because I'm an HSU alumni of the nursing program. So I graduated from the nursing program in 2009, and I'm sure you all remember 2009 as the time of the recession. And so I was a brand new nurse, and I actually got my first job at the skilled nursing facility in Fortuna. So the experience at HSU and the experience at the skilled nursing facility in Fortuna were just so meaningful and impactful, and really grounded my nursing practice that I really wanted to give back to the community. So that was one of my big draws to come back to Humboldt. But before that, after working in Fortuna, I actually was a school nurse for Humboldt County Office of Education. So I literally drove all over Humboldt County. I had 27 schools from Orick to Greenpoint to Neyland to Whitethorn and everything in between. So I really got to know Humboldt and the community. And I did that for about 5 years before life took me in a different course. But I think everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad to be back here and to serve this community. Small towns are are what I'm used to. So I always say that I grew up in Wairika, and growing up, everybody's like, oh, you live in Eureka. And I said, no, I live in Wairika. And then the opposite happened when I lived in Eureka. So it's a fun conversation because now I've lived in both places. So it's always a fun part when people don't understand Northern California. So I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited to improve healthcare in rural communities because I think it's so needed. And just like all the members were saying, health, community, business, everything is connected. So as much as we can work together as a community, I think we can just really help all people in our community. And so I really appreciate that opportunity.
And so we'll just go ahead and give you a little program overview, and you can move to the next slide. This is a glimpse of our website. And so if you would like to explore it further, the URL is down there, nursing.humboldt.edu, where you can get more information about the program. But it really is very much about new roles for nurses, empowering nurses to really work to their full scope and practice. And understanding the unique needs that we have in a rural community. A lot of people may not understand what rural healthcare is, and it's not synonymous with poverty. It has to do a lot with access to care. And if you've ever had an experience where you have had to see a specialist and made many trips to the Bay Area, there's an example of rural healthcare. Or you've had surgery and you're on your post-op day, whatever, and now you've got to make a 5-hour drive home after your surgery. So access to care is huge, and so we want to empower nurses and all of our staff to work together to think innovatively. We encourage that. Look at your setting where you're working and think about what you can do. A mantra that I've kind of adopted over the years is to think positively, speak in possibilities, and never give up. So just to continue to have that positive outlook and try not to feel stuck in your position. There's always, opportunity to find the people that believe what you believe and help move things forward. And it's so needed in healthcare right now to have our healthcare delivery fit the needs of our patients. Next slide.
And so when we were looking at the program and how we wanted to build this program with a community focus, it was really important for us to really embrace looking at the social determinants of health. So that's where the aspects of a person's overall health is related to where they live, where they work, where they play, and where they worship. And so if our nurses can have that holistic understanding of the community, they're going to be able to address the health disparities in the community with a very specific focus on the needs and the strengths of a rural community, but also taking in mind the various cultures that are represented in our community. So really looking at health through a cultural humility lens is going to be really the kind of the foundation and the mission of our program, with a very much a community focused lens.
And you can go to the next slide. Yeah, to the vision, back to our vision. So this is I'm gonna take this one, Eden.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our vision. We, again, really want our nurses to feel empowered, that they can think outside the box and, to discover new ways that we can deliver care. We're forced into that right now in this pandemic. Telehealth is taking off. And so how can we keep that going? We're not going backwards. We definitely aren't going backwards because that's working for the healthcare organizations. But what still needs to happen is the reimbursement component of that. So thinking about, why are nurses not reimbursed for that service? And does that limit access to care if someone still has to wait to see a physician or a nurse practitioner when they may be able to see a registered nurse? So that's kind of along the lines of the thinking there.
And Our core values of our program really center around a caring framework because that is essential to the nursing profession. And we believe that by embodying these core values, we will work towards achieving our mission and also going through with our vision so we can really improve the overall health in our communities and prevent burnout in the healthcare field, especially what's going on now with the pandemic. Nurses are feeling a lot of that stress. So we want to really embed these coring values throughout the program, focusing on collaboration, cultural humility, advocacy. Again, that aspect of rural healthcare is going to be in every thread of our program. Talking about innovation, nurturing, and growth are really going to be the central values that we're going to instill, and we have instilled from day one of the program to the end of our program, so that way we can create a healthy community.
So why a BSN? A nurse is a nurse, right? A lot of people will ask that question, and even ask students, why are you going back to get your bachelor's of science? What's the difference? And there really is a huge difference in the scope of work that you are doing beyond the bedside, more opportunity, I should say. That first 2 years that you're going through an associate degree program is heavily focused on direct patient care and learning how to pass medications, how to be comfortable in working in a hospital setting. It's all new and very, very rigorous. And again, bedside nursing focused mainly on working in the hospital. So going on to get your bachelor's of science and then even beyond takes your role to the next level, and thinking about problem solving and going to the research to solve problems. Bringing in our program, it's an RN-to-BSN program. So students come to the program as registered nurses. So they're bringing with them this lived experience. They're actually working in the field. So the content that they are learning about in the program, things that have to do with ethics and culture and all of those types of things, they can apply to the work that they're doing, and just helps them to open up their eyes to the larger picture of healthcare. In addition, many hospitals are actually requiring a BSN because they have discovered that nurses with a BSN can improve outcomes in those settings, because again, they have that more advanced critical thinking and a different lens to, look through systems and quality improvement and that type of thing. In the bachelor's program, it's very community health focused, so public health focused. They're going to come out of this program with the ability to get public health certification where they can work for public health as a nurse, which is a required certification to have to work for public health. And they're so desperately needed right now. And especially right now, there's a lot of work to do to build the public health infrastructure here locally, because we've been without this program for so many years. And the ability to fill management positions, to have the leadership skills to guide teams.
And just kind of going off of what Kim was saying, I'm not going to read all of these opportunities, but the focus of our program is really looking at where is nursing going and what opportunities are we going to be able to provide for our BSN nurses. And so just like Kim was saying, we're really going from sort of that individual level focus of that direct patient care to now having our students think about what is the community health level of approaching healthcare, and then also looking at the systems level of healthcare. So you can see all these roles are really looking at care coordination, management, leadership, and really envisioning the future of healthcare through telehealth, looking at education and prevention rather than reaction. And so how can nurses be at the center of all these leadership changes for the healthcare is really the opportunities and roles that we're opening up for our students.
So we'll talk about the program delivery. This is our first cohort, cohort 1. And this was a picture that was taken during our first intensive. So the program is designed as a hybrid model. And originally, before we had we're in a pandemic, the design is so that the students would go attend courses, work through the program asynchronously, meaning they're going to, work through their the course content, the didactic work at their own pace with assigned due dates, but then they would come together as a cohort twice a semester for weekend intensives. And the idea with that was that they would come to campus, they would be able to do presentations, we would bring in guest speakers and have this, long weekend of meaningful experiences where we could share the work that our students are doing, even with the community, with some community events and networking. And so that was the main thing I would say that was affected by the pandemic, is that we had to shift our face-to-face intensive to a virtual format. We had the first intensive in October, and it actually worked out really well. Although the students are eager to meet each other face-to-face, they were very grateful to have the opportunity to finally connect and tried to make it as engaging as we could for those 4 days that we were together in Zoom. What else? What am I missing here, Eden, about the program delivery? So it's a cohort model. So students are going to go through this program together, and we have a part-time and a full-time.
Yeah, and I think the one of the big draws of, because there's a lot of online RN-to-BSN programs out there. So, students have a lot of options, but one of the important pieces and one of the big draws about our program is this cohort style. So that way they're getting to know other nurses, even some of them within their organization, some of them within the community. So it's really fostering those connections and the reason why people are choosing to come to Humboldt State University. And so, we're doing it virtually, but I think both Kim and I have really focused on how do we, educate the students, but then also foster that aspect of community, because it is so important for these students and one of the main reasons why they chose Humboldt. So we have the students do reflective videos, and so they're able to interact with each other through writing, through video. And so it's really, you can see that the connections in our Zoom sessions, even though it's not in person, that the cohort is really connecting and coming together and establishing those connections, which is really fun to see.
Oh, sorry. Yes, in this picture, we've got 5 nurses that work at Open Door. So in a community health setting, which is one of the most underrepresented groups of nursing in healthcare. And so we have a lot of work to do to build those roles and positions to strengthen that in community health, to offload some work from the providers, the doctors, the nurse practitioners. We've got 3 nurses that work at St. Joe's. We've got a nurse from Sonoma County who works in OB, 2 other nurses who work in OB. So we have a diverse group of students, and they are just such a cohesive group. It's been emotional to get to know them and, have this finally feel like it's taking off and to get their feedback. Next slide. This was a quote from one of our students that I took from her. We've been asking our students, sorry, I took your slide, Eden. We've been inviting our students to give us some feedback, and I could have given you so much more here, but I wanted to convey some of the things that they're interested in, because they are areas of healthcare that are lacking, and we do need more nurses who are interested in working in geriatric and palliative care and hospice, and all across the healthcare continuum. So it's gratifying to kind of see these aspirations, and you can go to the next slide.
And I think these quotes that we're talking about, their professional goals, just really highlights the drive and the leadership skills that our students want to learn, because they really are pushing those boundaries of nurses. They're looking at the future. They want to advance their education so that way they can go into public health. And work in this amazing partnership called the Nurse Family Partnership, where it follows mothers during their before, during, and after their pregnancy to establish health care for not only the mother, but the child. And so these programs are really focused on that prevention aspect of a lot of the chronic health issues that we see, especially in rural communities. So our students are really wanting to get out there and positively impact the community.
And then I felt like this was so relevant because I believe that we have one diabetes educator in our community, and this is a huge role for, we have high rates of diabetes in our community, and having an RN diabetes educator working with you can really help improve those outcomes. So it's a need that we have in our local community. So I wanted to highlight that.
And then this last quote, I think both Kim and I can just echo that we are also so happy to be a part of this program. You know, when we're looking at the program, we're really taking into consideration our students, where they're at in their career. We're looking at learning experiences that they can take and directly apply those to their roles, depending, you know, regardless of where they're working. And so it's been really inspiring to work on this program, to think about how do we want to help build the skills, the knowledge and skills of these nurses, so that way they can go and make change in their workplace, like today from an assignment, but then also look at the future. And so it's just been very, I think, humbling to work with these students. And I am so inspired by the students, because they are so driven and so resilient just throughout this whole year, and taking on higher education during a pandemic while being a healthcare provider is, they've earned a lot of respect. So it's very nice to be a part of that.
That concludes our presentation. Questions? You can stop the screen share if you want to.
I don't really have a question, just I've lived in Humboldt for 33 years, and the nursing program has played such an important role here that I just really applaud your dedication and, you know, getting so much traction in what has proven to be a slippery year. So very much appreciated.
Thank you. We hope to have a ribbon cutting one day. That part's been a little anticlimactic. What I want to add to your point is that we are very much a partnership with College of the Redwoods. So we're working closely with them so that we can bridge those students over to the program, and then with the other healthcare community agencies. It is definitely a partnership. No one can do this work all by themselves.
Thanks.
Dr. Perris, oh, sorry, Luce, go ahead.
I just have a question for Kimberly, because I have a person that is a physical therapist assistant, and they've been trying to reach out to Humboldt to actually go into the ADN and then possibly go on up. And working to try to get, and during the pandemic, like you're saying, I do applaud you, because it's very difficult with knowing what's open, what's not. And I think finally, because I do come from a little bit of a medical background, and one of my dreams that I never got to do was to be an RN. So anyways.
Not too late.
Yeah, I'm 52, dear. I don't know that I want to commit to that. And even though I'd love to, it's been pretty difficult to get a hold of Redwood, because I thought about it for myself, because I'm a paramedical tattoo person, and working with these breast cancer people, am starting to work with plastic surgeons that are doing the reconstruction, that are doing that work. So I'm working with a physician, and I'm right back to where I was 15 years ago, before I went off and got 3 degrees to deal with, because I was a single mother. So I had to go out, and I was a CFO, and that was always a dream, was the nursing. So every time I've always wanted, and I'm like rah-rahing for the programs. But since I've been up here, which I came in February, and the COVID hit right after that, we tried to reach out to College of the Redwoods, because I've got people, and myself, I even wanted to investigate their ADN program. Being a business owner, I have some lax time, and I can, be able to do stuff. And then I'll be honest, my husband's a physical therapist assistant, and he works in Fortuna too, for Fortuna Wellness. So he's thought about merging over to being a ADN, because he's already got his bachelor's in kinesiology and he has a minor in gerontology. So how are we able to bridge that gap with Redwood right now when we're not getting answers out of them for new students wanting that ADN program, so they can eventually come out to Humboldt and do the BSN, the RN-to-BSN?
Yeah, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but the way that it is set up now, students do have to go through the associate degree program. We're looking in the future at having that be a true bridged program where students are co-enrolled in both programs.
Okay.
Next step down the road. But we do talk. Our program is housed in the Department of Kinesiology, so we hear those stories too of students who have a degree in something else, or they're going through a PT program. Now they want to shift over to nursing. So the benefit of that is that a lot of the courses they have taken will help them qualify for their associate degree.
Yeah, where he used to do for Sac State.
There is a wait list.
He do all the cadavers, so he's got a real broad background of anatomy physiology, more than even an RN would get, because he's done so much work with cadavers.
No, it's so wonderful too to have the different lenses coming to that nursing profession. I don't know, do you want to add anything to that, Eden?
I was actually on the College of the Redwood site just to see when their application cycle is open, because right now it is a little bit separate between College of the Redwoods and Humboldt. Yeah. And I know that they've been busy because they're arranging clinical sites for their students during a pandemic. So I know that I'm sure that they're very.
Gotta be rough. I know. Because I was enrolled in a nursing program in the Valley, and literally I came out of that to move up here. Things kind of changed for me, and I just think about what would have happened to those students if I would have been one of those RN students in looking for clinical sites during a pandemic. So I give you guys props for that one.
I do have a question. I don't know if you guys I'm sorry if you already stated this in the talk, but how many current students do you have enrolled in the nursing program?
We have 13 in this first cohort. Our capacity is 25 per cohort. So next year we're inviting 2 more cohorts to apply in the fall, a part-time and a full-time cohort. But we opened up we were just late in opening enrollment because of the timing of the program getting approved. So that all happened in the summer in the middle of a pandemic. So we're happy with our 13 for this first batch.
And our application cycle is open right now. So if you guys know of anybody who has their RN license and is looking to advance their education, we are taking applications right now. So if they're looking at fall 2021, I think Bob was talking about a big party. If they want to start that party off by advancing their education, we would love to have people apply.
Do we have any other questions? Crickets?
I have one. You had, sorry about that. You had mentioned about the 2 different cohorts moving forward, maybe a part-time one and a full-time one. Maybe you can talk about that, and will they start at the same time, both in the fall? And
oh, that's a really good question, just to elaborate on. So we do speak to this program being directed towards the working nurses. especially the part-time program. The part-time program students are taking about 2 classes per semester. So all of our students are pretty much working full-time and taking the courses. So they're busy, but they are managing they're able to manage that. And they can complete that program in 21 months. So 4 semesters and then some additional time to complete some upper division coursework wherever they can fit that in those 21 months. And then the full-time cohort will be an 11-month program that includes a summer and much more rigorous as far as time commitment, where students are taking 12 to 15 units. And so they may be more challenged if they're trying to work full-time, for sure.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, I want to thank you all for giving this presentation today. Very much appreciate you joining on a call, joining the Fortuna Chamber. I'd like to remind everyone that next week we welcome the new CEO. CEO for Humboldt Senior Resource Center, Melissa Hovind. She'll be updating us on the PACE program. So I hope to see you all and then some next Monday. And thank you again to you both. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks
Have a
for
good rest of
joining
your
us.
day.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.